Hi creatives, welcome back to the design studio. I have been working on this design for a little bit and I needed to make sure that I was able to secure all the supplies before I could share with you how to make a chocolate. It's actually going to be a chenille yarn bunny wreath. So I'm a fan, that's one of my favorite things to enjoy during the Easter holiday is chocolate bunnies. I love chocolate bunnies, especially dark chocolate bunnies. So this one's going to be a little bit of a blend between milk chocolate and dark chocolate. And if you guys want to save this tutorial, it's super simple. Just click the share button down below. It'll take this tutorial and it'll be available for you on your Facebook page. That way, when you happen to get all your supplies handy, you can go ahead and recreate this design as well. It has a little bit of complicated steps that we've kind of had to alter in order to make it work to where I am satisfied with the end results, but I'm hoping that you guys enjoy what it's going to look like. We won't know until we put it all together and then see how it goes. If you're also a first-time follower, welcome. And if you're watching me for the first time on YouTube, again, welcome. I'd love to have you guys continue to follow and stay up to date on all of my tutorials. So if you're on Facebook, if you can make sure that you click like and follow, I would greatly appreciate it. That's how you are notified when I do go live. You have to make sure you have both. The like is readily available. You just need to toggle over to the three dots after you've clicked the like button. It'll open up another menu that allows you to actually follow. And then those are what notify you when you happen to be on your device and I go live. YouTube subscribers, super simple for you. You can go ahead and simply subscribe to my channel and then you'll be notified whenever there's a new video to be uploaded. Trying to think if there's anything else. Let me go ahead and post the link for my website really quick. I'm making sure that I'm broadcasting on the actual channel. Hi Elizabeth, welcome. I can't wait for this design. It actually came to me in a dream and then it was based on a lot of feedback that I had gotten from a few people that were struggling with how to make a design that I did. I don't think it was last year, it might have been a year before, where they couldn't see different parts of the tutorial. So I want to make sure that those are available to you as well. So if you guys can keep me honest and let me know when you guys need zoom in or cat, you're out of the frame, I would greatly appreciate that. Other than that, we're going to go ahead and get started. So I'm going to pivot you down right now so you can actually see the work surface. Hi Cheryl, welcome. So I'm going to go not quite all the way down because for some reason I have a tendency of doing my work right here. Just because I don't work over my cutting mat very much. I stay pretty close to the edge. So we're going to get all the prep stuff done and then we're going to put it all together. So the things that you will need will be a 14-inch wire wreath frame. You can get it wherever you'd like. People have asked, can you go down a size? Can you do a 12? Can you do a 10? Absolutely. It's just going to be up to you what your vision is for the final product. In addition to that, you will need the bunny frame. So the bunny frame is from the Dollar Tree. And I'm looking at the size of his head circumference. And that's right about 9.5. So it's about 9.5 here. So you could go 12. I'm doing a 14-inch because I want a little bit of a bigger bunny. And then we're going to go ahead and prep the head portion because there is some prep work that needs to happen so that once we start assembling everything, it just kind of goes together super quick. And I'm hoping that the bunny head will be available at the Dollar Tree. I know that they had just finished putting out all of their Valentine's Day stuff. They were getting into St. Patrick's Day, and so you might start to see a little bit of the Easter stuff popping up or becoming available. But those are the two that you will need. We're going to start with the head because there's a little bit of prep that has to happen. And what you're going to want is to create a cardboard template for his ears. So I have done one. We're going to go ahead and do the right side. And all I did is I took the cardboard ends of a 12-inch box, and I cut the flaps off of them so they made a perfect template. You want something that doesn't have writing on both sides, because depending upon what you choose to cover these with, if you have like a dark print here, it may show if you're using a fabric to cover the ear portion, or if you trying to think of what else. It just depends. Like if you decide to cover it with felt, it may or may not show. So I just find if you can get both sides with no print, you're good. What we are going to do is we are going to trace the, I think I did it the outside. Let me grab a pen here really quick. Man, I was so good. I like put all of my stuff away. We're going to trace the inside portion here. So we're just going to go in, trace his ear with a pin, and I have a tendency of just putting a little like a R or an L, and then this tells me this is the front side of the right portion of the ear. You'll need to do it for both so that you have a right and a left, and then we want to make sure which side is front, because believe it or not, if you take this, you cut it out, and let's say for example you try to match it, it's not going to be a perfect match. You're going to struggle with the placement. So once we have this, we are just going to get our scissors really quick, and we're going to cut this out. Let's go ahead and get this bottom portion of the cardboard off, since we don't need that. We're going to go all the way around the ear for the template. And because our bunny's like a chocolate bunny, it just depends. This is going to be the inside of his ear color by the time we're done. So if you want it white, you can do white. If you want it pink, you can, you know, do pink. I'm actually going to be doing a tan color, because we're going to do the chocolate bunny, but he's going to have tan features. So there is my template. And then what I want to do, let me find it here, is we are going to create, we're going to cover this. So we want to make sure that we're covering the front side. So what does that mean? It means that we need to flip that over. See what I'm saying? How different it is? So here's the corner. It kind of leans a little bit more to the right, but if I flip it over, now it leans a little bit more to the left. So we need to make sure we're putting it on the right side. So for here, because this is my front side, I want to leave a generous portion, because we're going to need to pull that up and over to cover our cardboard piece. So I think I'm doing like just a rough, I don't know, quarter edge lip. I'm going to go ahead and just remove the excess so that we don't have to have all this other stuff trailing around. Like I'm not having to work with such a large piece of felt. These scissors really don't work well for cutting. They don't work well for cutting felt. So let me just re-clarify that. So this is where you get your good scissors out, and you can cut them a little nicer. And you don't have to worry about being super perfect, because like I said, we're just going to be pulling that up and tugging that around the outside. So I'm going to start right here at the bottom with my glue gun. I want to make sure that I have a pretty even amount of felt all the way around. And we're just going to pick this up. And I want it very smooth, because remember the other side is our front side. I want it to look really good. I don't want to have any wrinkles. So we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to go all the way up. And I'm just going to pick it up and kind of push it towards the center. Just like so. So that we don't have any folds on the other side. I'm going to put a little trim right here so that that lays flat. Go ahead and tag that in there. We're going to go up to the top, do the same thing, drag this all the way down to the bottom, and then we're just going to start pulling it up and pushing it towards our cardboard. So as I pull it up, I'm pushing it down so that it's making it nice and snug on the other side. We're actually going to cover the back later, but for now, this works. We're going to cut off that tip so that it's nice and smooth. And look, now we have a perfect, I wouldn't say perfect, but now we have the perfect insert for our bunny ear. It is ideal. So I have done those for both ears. So I'm going to set those aside, and then we're going to need to prep his feet. So his feet are a little bit different, and if you've seen me do the white rabbit in the past, we used the felt. It's like a really heavy duty felt for the feet, and if you tried to do it with the felt that I was just cutting, it doesn't have the structure that this one does. This one is, well, there's two. Doesn't have the structure that this one does. It's got a little bit of a weight to it. It's like a thicker felt. So what you are going to do is, because we're doing a chocolate bunny, you want to make sure that you, let me find my other piece of dark brown. Let me see if I have another piece of dark brown. I'm sure I do. I'm trying to find the dark brown. Don't tell me I don't have the dark brown. Well, I've already cut the one for the dark brown, so let's just use the tan just to show you what it looks like, because obviously I have done it for both of them. And so all I did is I took the one that I had, because I was like, I need the brown, not white and pink. I placed them on top of my fabric. I drew a line around them, and I cut out both paw prints so that it looks like this. Okay, so this is the exact size of this one. And at first I was like, should we do pink toes? Like little, like pink ones here. And I was like, if I was a chocolate bunny, I think I would want tan. But you could do white, you could do pink. It's entirely up to you. So what I did is I created a template of the center here. I got my center size done. I cut it out of the tan so that this is going to go in the center. You can kind of see how it's coming together. And all I did is take like a foam core, and I just made a template of the pad and then the toes. And so I cut out the pad, and I have cut out, I'm trying to find the other toe. There's the other toe. There's another toe, and so we'll do the last one here, which is, this is exactly what I did on all of them. I just traced the outside really light so that I had the shape, and then we're going to cut it out. I just always find it's easier to work with smaller pieces of felt, so I always remove what I don't need so that now I can control the felt a little nicer to make sure that I have smooth toe pieces. So I just find if you keep your scissors moving, you generally don't get the little corner edges. I'm going around the last little piece for the toe. So now I've got 3 toes and the pad. And so I need to pull them down so that they have pretty much the same edge here. So it'll go here, one here, one there, and one there. And this is how you can make them if you don't have the felt pad. You could just make it from felt, just kind of get a good template going, and then you're good there. So now that I know where I want all these to be, I just want them down a little bit further. And we're going to pull this one down just a smidge. And so I'm going to pick these up and I'm going to glue them on with a light bead of glue. I find that if you do it a little too heavy, sometimes it comes through the other side, like you can actually see where you glue it. So if you keep it light and just lightly drag that across, there's the toe. Here's our other toe. Okay, just like so. And now we're going to do the bigger pad. Same thing. I find if I just hold it in my hand, it's a little easier. Try not to go for big blobs. If you can take them and just stretch them thin, it works out so much better. I have my glue thread here. And we're going to place that right on top. So now we have identical one, which is great if we decide to do bear paws too, right? You could do this for a bear paw wreath. Then, because I like the thickness of the paw, I am actually going to glue that onto the existing paw so that I don't have a wobbly paw, but it has some structure to it. So I'm going to start here. Now, of course, my glue gun needs glue. And I'm going to go right along the edge, right across the toes, right across here. Again, the same thing. Don't go crazy. I do need to make sure that it does stay to the center. And then I'm going to glue one on top of the other. Just like so. So now I have a pretty thick pop. So now it's not, and I know you're like, oh, but I can still see some white. So I'm going to show you how we're going to fix that. So what we are going to do is we're going to take some of our chunky yarn. I'm trying to find the end here. It never fails. The ends are always the most difficult to find. We are actually going to outline the end of our paw with this brown chunky yarn. So I'm going to start right up here at the top. Do the same thing. We're going to go around, and I'm really trying to stay to the edge. And I'm going to start here. Oop. I'll have to come back through and retack that back across the top. We're going to go right here, and it's really on the edge. I just have it kind of sitting on top of it until I get it to go all the way around. Let's go ahead and get this one pulled up. Let's go all the way around the edge of his foot. And we'll go right here and finish up this final piece. And I know it's going to pretty much end right about there. Just like so. So now he has a very furry foot, and it kind of helps tie in with his whatchamacallit, his yarn that we're going to be using on the outside. Okay, so there is the bunny paw. So I have done that already on both of these. Keep in mind too that the darker yarn anything, any color lint is going to show up on that. So you're always going to want to make sure that you keep those nice and clean. So we're going to set these aside. We've already done both of our ear pieces. Those are all pressed or done. I've already done, because nobody needs to see Kat do this, I've already wrapped the 14-inch Dollar Tree frame in the dark chunky yarn. Now we're going to do the head together. I'm going to show you how we're going to assemble the head, because that's honestly where the large portion of this is going to come from. And I'm praying. I think I do. I think I have enough yarn. So it was really difficult for me to find brown chunky yarn. I could find brown thin yarn or twine, and you could do this for twine if you wanted to kind of keep them a little bit rustic looking. But I actually had to order this from somebody on Amazon, I believe. And even then, it wasn't really a full skein. They kind of just measured it out, tied it together, and that's how I got it shipped. So we'll see if it's enough. I'm actually going to start right here, but I'm going to do it from the back side. So we're just going to wrap the circle. So from the back side right here, I'm going to add a little tag so that my chenille yarn can stay there. Okay, we'll give that just a second to set up, and then I'm going to just kind of roughly pull out what I think I might need. And if we have to come back and splice, well, then I'll show you what happens, because this happened too. Even inside this yarn is there was a splice even in the middle of it. So you have to be really careful with your glue, because darker colors will show all those imperfections. So this is why you need a manageable chunk, because ain't no one got time to pull all that yarn through the center of the frame. So we're just wrapping the frame in the chenille yarn. So this is why I was like, just kind of gauge roughly what you think you'll need. And people will say, can you tell me exactly how much yarn you use for the head? No, because everybody wraps differently. I know that you shouldn't have to go more than a skein to complete the entire project from start to finish, but you do want to make sure that you've got good coverage on your frame, that, you know, you're keeping a good even tension on there as we're going around. I don't want to see any of my frame peeking through, so I don't want to go too tight, but then I also don't want to go too loose either, because you want them to have a nice thick head. And keep in mind that this is a 3-ring frame. It's got 3 rings that make up the context of his head. So we'll try to get this going a little quicker. It actually goes together really fast if you have everything already pre-prepped. So take your time, do all the prep work. It's like the angels, right? Once you get all the prep work done, it's just a matter of assembling all the pieces. So I pay extra special attention right here on the weld areas. So I'm just going to keep picking it up, throwing it in, moving it around, kind of holding my tension each time I wrap it. I'm just holding it tight so that it's compressing everything as we go around. The less yarn you have to work with, the faster it goes, actually. Okay, so let me pull this one through. I think you guys are able to still see. I'm trying really hard. Right, Debbie? She said that frame has so many possibilities, and absolutely, it does. You can do a multitude of different things with this frame. So, and thankfully, lots of creators are still coming up with new ways of doing this. But I just figured, you know, I'm a fan of chocolate, and one of my first wreaths that I made when I started making wreaths was a chocolate bunny. So I was like, we haven't done a chocolate bunny. And I knew I had the yarn, because I was actually going to use this yarn on the football wreath. because I wanted true brown, but I figured, you know what? It's Easter. Let's go ahead. Let's get this one going. This is available on my website. It is listed. You can find it if you don't want to go through the process of making your own. See what I'm saying? It gets quicker when you start getting closer to the end of your yarn. I'm praying that I portioned off enough. I was going to do the whole thing, like, just figure it out, and then I was like, no, I'll do it with you guys so we can see how do we go? How do we get this done? So, same thing. We're getting there. And we're going to go right around his ears. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to go up and over through his ears. I think I've got one more in here. And then my bunny ears were really close together, so I kind of just spread them apart so that I could get them all the way in between the ears. And look, we're going to have just a perfect amount. And as you get ready to finish, what I like to do is I like to tag the back right where I'm going to end, which is pretty much right where I started. I'm going to go ahead and do it here. And then as I come up, I'm going to kind of push that through. And then I'm going to tag it on the back, right in that center spot. Just like that. We'll pull that up. I'm going to let this dry. And that's that little piece. So his head is done. So we've done his head. And so now we're going to wrap his ears with the yarn. We're going to do one, and then we're going to do the other. So I'm trying to measure out roughly what do I think it's going to be. Doing the same thing. We're tagging the back, right? Because this is his front. You can kind of tell because his ears, the way that the wreath is it's slightly concave. Just like we started in the front. And we're simply going to go all the way around his ears. We're wrapping everything nice and thick. Because what we're doing is we're creating, I guess I should have pulled all this out too. We're creating a nice thick point. So we kind of need everything to come together. So I'm just wrapping his ears. There's some people who will wrap as they're going around. It's entirely up to you. I like to save the ears separate because I like to control how thick I want his ears to be. I need them to kind of be somewhat thick, right? In, around, around, around. He actually goes really good after this point. Once we get him all wrapped, then we're just assembling all the pieces. Okay. So you can see I'm keeping it fairly thick. Going up to the point. Sometimes you'll have a little bit of an issue at the point because it's going to want to slide down. So I'm just, as you can see, every time I wrap, I'm holding it. I'm holding it where I want the yarn to stay. This is also why it's good to separate the gap between his ears so that it doesn't look like, I don't know, a unicorn or something, or a horse. And the Dollar Tree frame is forgiving to where if you want to pull it further apart, you can pull it further apart. I like to make sure that you can totally tell that there are two totally different, see what I'm saying? Just push them apart. We're getting to the end. Now it's going to start getting a little tighter because of the ears. So I'm always trying to get the good loop going. So don't skimp, just to finish. Take your time, finish, make sure the quality is there for you. You know, we don't want to see his frame. We're almost done. Okay. Trying to get it around so I can pull a loop through. And we'll try to just use what's left of that. Maybe it might be enough to get us all the way through. If not, it's not a big deal. I like it sometimes when that happens, so that if it should happen to you, or let's say, for example, there's a defect in the yarn, I don't know, it just doesn't look the same, so you have to stop and splice it on the inside. I think we've got 2 more loops to get through. There's that one, tuck it. There's one, and I'm pushing my yarn back to make sure, can I possibly stick another piece of chenille yarn in there? See, like this, I'm really pushing that back because I really want it super thick right here at the end. I could technically let go and it would just, you know, form in there, but let's try to get maybe another 2. 1, and I don't think I'll be able to go any further than this. So same thing, this is our back. So I'm going to tag this right here on the back side so that as I bring my yarn up, over, and through here, I've got a good wrap right in there. So I'm going to go ahead and cut the rest of this off. Here's my start. Here's this one. I'm going to finish my end right where I started. And let's do a chip clip right here to hold that in place till it dries, so that we can go ahead now and work on this next piece. I honestly don't know that this will be enough. We'll start. So same thing, starting on the back side. And we'll just start the wrapping. See what I'm saying? How it starts like really long, but then by the time I tighten it, it goes a lot thinner. And when you get a good manageable piece, you can go pretty quick. Because then you're not having to worry about it getting all tangled. For me, the cats are trying to play with the other end of it that keeps going up and down. Okay, come on. I keep trying to throw it right where I need it to kind of come through. Who knows, maybe this will work. Maybe. Do you guys think we'll have enough to get to the other end? You can see how fast it goes. It's going to start to slow down when we get in between. I think we're going to have enough, which is crazy. And I still have quite a bit left over. Not enough to make another one. Maybe enough to go around the head part, but that's about it. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to lift this and my frame's separated, which is not a major issue, which will make this super simple. Just like this. And we're going to add that right in to our frame right here. We're just going to take a bead of hot glue. We're going to add that right to the center. We're going to tag our metal frame back down. We're going to give it a moment just to set up. And then we will go ahead, because I've had this happen several times. Sometimes the welds will break free, and that's a weak weld right there. I'm just going to try to grab this one more time and just make sure that I have it on the other side. So this is why having your hot glue gun on hot, and I've got it right on the weld point, is ideal. Because hot glue will now reinforce that end, and then we'll be good to go. And then Mr. Bunny will be pretty much ready to go. And then we're going to also come back in and we're reinforcing the inside with the inside portion of his, the felt portion of his ears. So I'm just going to cut that off. I'm going to tuck that right back in that hole. And I'm just giving it a little bit longer. I'm going to cut off the end right where we have that set. I'm going to flip that over. And now we have our bunny. Our bunny is all ready to go. And so we need to like put it all together. So the first thing we want to do is we want to attach the head to the body right here. And we're going to do that. So if you remember, a Dollar Tree wreath frame, just so you can see the visual, has, whatchamacallit, 4 rings. This one had 3. We are going to zip tie this now to our frame. And so what I want is a slight overlap. So I'm lifting this up because I want the head on top of the body portion. I'm going to take some 6-inch zip ties. So right here, because I can see all my frames, I'm going to go ahead and pre-get my zip tie ready. I've got one right here. I've got one right here. I'm going to put about 3 in there. Oops. There's that one. And I'm going to go over just a touch more. And here's the other one. I'm just pushing the chenille out of the way, just like this. And now I'm going to take my bunny head, I'm going to overlap it, but before I do that, I'm going to try to find my center, which is easy. Just move your bunny pieces, and I'm going to zip tie this portion nice and tight. Okay. And we're going to actually take that and move that to the back. I'm going to do the same thing right here. I'm going to separate my yarn. So I'm going to find my middle frame. Same thing, nice and tight. I'm going to push that to the back side. And we're going to do one more. Again, just kind of push your yarn away so you can get your zip tie in. Okay, come on. Oh, I've got it on one side. Trying to get it to go up, and it wants to go to the bottom. So let me just do it here. There we go. Grabbing this side, zipping nice and tight. There we go. Now our bunny's nice and snug. What I sometimes find is it bends just ever so slightly. If it bothers you enough, you can go back on the back side and you can go ahead and add a couple more zip ties into the back, but honestly, it'll stay nice and snug. And that's why basically what we're doing, let me show you so that you can see it without yarn, is here was our original, here's the frame. This is what I have done in a sense, is I have taken where these two are overlapping and I have zip tied them here, here, and here, so that there's no movement from the front. It's only going to go back as far as it can on the frame, and you're going to be good. So now we are going to start decorating him. So we need to add his felt portions to his ears. So I'm looking. This one goes to this side. See what I'm saying? Now you're starting to see the visual. This one goes on this side. This will also strengthen that frame on his ears. So we're going to fill in his ears. The way we're going to do that is flipping him over. I need to make sure that we've got the right ears on the right sides. Okay. And what we're going to do is around the edge here, all the way around, that is actually going to lay on top of the back side of the chenille stem. And then what I will do is I'll go back in and I'll either cover this with a chocolate colored felt, or I might come back in and add the chenille yarn and just rewrap it around. So for here, going around the bottom, up the side, remember we're just sticking to the edge. Up around the top. I'm going to have to get this going so that I can right along the edge. It has to be on the front side. It can't be like on the edge. Okay, I'm going to hold it from the end. I'm going to flip this over and I'm going to lay it on the front. Before I glue this one, I want to check the position and look at how beautiful that looks. We have nice little fuzzy milk chocolate for the inside. And that turned out perfectly. So flip over again. We're going to do the exact same thing here. Going along the edge. Here to here. Gonna try to scoot this. We don't want to make it too thick because when you press it down, we don't want it to ooze out past that chenille yarn. So just like that. Making sure we've got the bottom and we've got the top, and we're good. So what I like to do with these until they're set, nice chip clips. Okay, we're gonna flip this over. See what I'm saying? How like that, anything, any debris whatsoever is going to, you know, the lightest lint is going to show up here. But now we're going to add his feet. Okay, remember the chocolate feet we put together? These are where his feet are going to go. So let's make sure we get all the glue threads off. That's going to be absolutely adorable. So now we're just going to glue his feet on. So knowing where those are, it's going to kind of go right down the middle, but a little bit here. I like them just slightly off because he's kind of like sitting facing you with his feet up, so you would see the bottom of his pads. So if you wanted to, you could kind of come in here, tag that. I'm going to do the same thing here. And then once those ones are set, we'll go ahead and do the edges here. Press and hold. And then we're going to do the same on the other side. Right here, I'm just lifting up. And he is almost finished. Let me show you what he looks like to you guys right now. I know it's going to be a little difficult to see, but let's take his little clips out. Okay. There is our bunny so far. I'm trying to make him to where you can see him all in view. So now we got to make a bow. He's going to get a nice bow. And I didn't want to do an Easter bow because I wanted him to be able to be used for a multitude of different things. If you wanted to use him as baby shower decoration, if you just wanted to give him to somebody who, I don't know, raises Angora rabbits, we're going to create a bow that's actually going to, again, reinforce the head to the body, but also give him just a touch of a personality. And this is how much yarn I actually have left. Like I said, it's probably enough to get me enough to go maybe around his head, maybe to create a head. But I would definitely not have enough to do the body again. So a bow for this guy. We're using our Bowdabra. Hi, Jean. Hi, Cheryl. Hi, Joan. Carol, all I know is that it will take 1 skein of chunky yarn. And if I was to compare this, this would kind of be like the Bernat, B-E-R-N-A-T yarn from Michaels. That is the thickness of this yarn. It's pretty thick. And I wrap with an even tension, not too tight, not too loose, because I want to make sure that I have good coverage all the way through. Okay. So what we are going to do is we are going to use a brown chocolate 2.5 inch ribbon. We're going to start with a dovetail, which will be wired edges together. We are cutting from the folded end down to the wired point. And we're going to do 5.5 inches. I think 5.5. No, sorry, 7-inch tail. He's getting a 7-inch tail. So from here up 7 inches, I'm going to gather. Bodabra. We're going to twist. Place that right inside. And we want to measure out 5-inch loops. Oh girl, why did you get your ribbon so upside down? There we go. Up and over, twist, place it on the inside. I like to use my 10-inch line because I can take and keep my center line on my Bodabra lined up with the 10-inch line. And I am. We're going to do this on both sides. Make sure we're at 5.5. And what we want to do is we want to do double. So we're going to do this again. But because I've already measured the bottom one, if I just put my fingers in and pull, I know I've got a good, they're exactly the same. Up and over, twist, make sure they're the same. But we do need to make sure that we wind up again with a 7-inch tail, making sure that's on the 10. This is 7 inches out. We are going to fold, dovetail the end. Okay, and so we've got one down. We're actually doing 4 different ribbon. So this 2.5 inch solid brown canvas is from Kringle Designs. Then we are going to do a, put my pen back in there. Then we're going to do a polka dot, white polka dot on a like it's a brown, but it's kind of like a milk chocolate brown. And we're going to do this one with 6-inch tail. So we're going to come down 1/2 inch, but let's get our dovetail in place right here. We're going to dovetail the end, wired edges together, cut from the folded side. We want this one at 6.5 inches, so we're going to set it up. So we've got our ends on the end. 6.5 inches in, we are going to gather, twist, place it inside the Bodabra, and now we want to measure 4.5 inch loops, and we're doing a double set. So I think that's going to have to be a lot bigger, Cat. So back on our 10-inch line to start. Stretch this out. And we're going to go up and around. We're just getting our base measurements established at 4.5 inches. Okay. And now we're going to do it again. Up, twist, put your fingers in and pull. Do it to the other side. Twist, fingers in, pull. Get it back to your 10-inch line, and then measure out 6.5 inches. Dovetail the end. And that one's done. This is from Craft Outlet. And craftoutlet.com online is just an online retailer. Anybody can order from them. Now we are going to add my favorite ribbon. It's from Michaels. It is not wired, but it is really, I guess it is a little bit. It is wired, but it's really super thin. But this is their satin ribbon. And so I like it because it reminds me of dark chocolate. Elizabeth says I have to get out my bow jobber and make a bow. You just got to practice. Just keep practicing. So we're going to dovetail the end. And this one is going to be a 6-inch tail. So we're going to measure 6 inches in. We are gathering. We are twisting, placing that right on the inside. These just remind me of like different colors of chocolate. And this one is going to be a 4-inch loop. So setting it back on my 10. Doing the same on the other side. This time we're only doing a big bow. So it doesn't need to be overly crazy, but we need to make sure the measurements are concise. And then here is 6 inches. Like I said, it's from Michael's. You can find it in their regular everyday ribbon. We're going to dovetail this one. And then we're going to do our final ribbon, which I have just enough. I'm praying we have just enough to get this one. So this is a beige and brown and a little touch of white plaid from Craft Outlet. 1.5 inches. We're dovetailing the end. We're doing this one at 5.5 inches. So this is going to be really short, but it's the cute one. I just felt like it needed to combine all the elements. This one is only going to be 3.5 inches. So back to our 10, measure it out. Up and over, back down. Let's make sure we've got 3.5 inches, which I do. And then we're bringing that back out to 5.5 inches right here. Look at this. That is literally all I had left. But I was like, I saved those because we can always use those as what I call top ribbons, because you don't need that much. You need about 3 feet, and you can generally pull off the top part of a bow. So here we go. I'm going to use a dark brown pipe cleaner so that it hides into our chenille a little bit nicer. I'm going to pick up the whole thing. Okay. I'm just going to drop my pipe cleaner right on top. I'm going to hold it, and then I'm going to twist it about 4 or 5 times just to make sure I get a good twist on there. Now you can use a zip tie. You can use floral wire. You can use whatever you'd like. I just chose to use yarn. Because this is going to be a downward facing bow, I'm going to, right now before I attach it, just make sure that I pull all the tails down. This guy's in here. Make sure he comes down. Get that in. Get that one in. We've got all the tails going down to the bottom. Just like so. So there's all of our tails. We're going to grab Mr. Bunny. Pull him forward. Guess what? Super easy to find the frame. We are just going to simply just kind of take your fingers, work your fingers through the chenille. We're going to pull that in. I'm going to go around and try to find it again on the other side. I'm just working through the last piece. Almost there. Okay. I'm just trying to get that all the way down. So we're going to snug the whole thing up, right? Nice and tight. That's where his bow is going. Look how cute he is. He's absolutely adorable. He's like a dapper chocolate bunny. Okay. Now I'm going to try to do this for you guys. So we've got our 2.5 inch tails down at the bottom. The things that we want to do is put your fingers in, and we want to fluff the ribbon. So just like that, get your fingers underneath there, fluff those nice and pretty. Same thing, nice and pretty. We're going to do the same thing with that chocolate. I'm going to pull this one down a little bit because we've already got this one up here. So I'm going to pull this one down. Now I'm going to take the satin ribbon. I want that to kind of pop in between both of those polka dots. And then we're going to pull this down. I'm still going to be fluffing all the way through. You might want this one up a little bit more. Pull that down. Okay, and now we're going to get his tails going so that his tails are in the right direction. It's not supposed to rain today, but it is raining. Oh, there we go. Let's get this one up a little higher. Bring this one up so that you guys can see him. And I wouldn't go anything larger on his bow there. So there is Mr. Dapper Bunny. I'm going to go ahead and put him on the door so we can see him in his entirety, but that's the way he looks. Let's get measurements on him because I know a lot of you ask about measurements. So from the tip of his ears to the bottom of his butt, we're about 31 inches long. From the end here to the end here, we're 15 inches wide. And depending on your storm door, you will probably be able to get him to fit inside a storm door too. So I'm going to pivot you up. Do you guys have any questions I can answer for you? I'll try to give you the whole door. Right, Les is like, he's so cute, I have to get brown yarn. I'm going to wish you guys lots of luck on finding the brown yarn. It took me forever to find that. A long time. So we are, and it's just going to depend on how you want to hang him. You could hang him up here. Like mine has a hook in the door. I know it's a little hard to see. We can move it to the white side of the door if we want. But I can hang him right here. I don't think I would hang him from his bow point, because if we did that, like if you ended up doing that, I think he's a little higher than he needs to be. So I would probably just hang him right there. No need for a hook unless you want to put a hook right there in the back. It's entirely up to you. Let's put him on a white door so we can see the whole rabbit. So hang tight. This is the easiest way to do this. So take this one off. And now we'll put the rabbit on the white door. You always got to have a prop door for two sides, right? So there is, pull this one up. There is our Dapper Bunny, Chocolate Bunny. What do you guys think? Let's see. Let me read your questions. I missed the part on how you cut the bunny's feet out. Well, the great thing is once this ends, it automatically goes to replay. If you're watching on YouTube, give me a couple of hours and I'll get it edited so you can actually go right to working on the ears, working on the feet, working on the head, working on the bow. You can actually, it's chapters, so we can actually put those together, but it's only available on YouTube. If you're interested in purchasing him, he's the only one I'm making because the yarn was so hard to find. I'm like, we'll only be able to make one, but he is the Chocolate Bunny for 2024. Again, he's not specific for Easter because his ribbons don't say Easter, so he can be used in a nursery. He can be used as a party decoration. He can be used year round. Anytime you want to put, you know, chocolate, something together, he is available. Let's see. And that's at the link below. And Pam says he's beautiful. I love the chocolate color. Cheryl says he's adorable. And like I said, I'm going to come back in And all I'm going to do on the back side of his ears is, remember all that leftover chenille yarn? I'm just going to take it and I'm just going to cover the whole back sides of his ears so that he stays consistent all the way through and that we don't have to look at where we glued everything. Or, like I said, if you don't have any more chenille yarn, you could take a dark brown felt, cut out the edges, just nicely cover the back, and it hides the cosmetic portion of that. Right now, though, there's no way that people will be able to tell you exactly how in the heck did you build that bunny, but you guys know. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I will talk to you next week where I'm hoping to have some new designs ready for you to work on, either for Easter or for spring. So I will talk to you all then. Thanks for joining me. Keep creating and have an amazing weekend. Bye for now, everyone.